Today is Tuesday, August 5th, and this is the Bay Blend from WUSF. I'm Sky LeBron. Still getting used to that new name. Today you're going to hear about an art exhibit in Sarasota featuring quilts former slaves made to keep warm that are now considered their own form of art. Plus some events to keep you occupied in and around the Tampa area. Before all that, though, the news headlines. If you own an electric vehicle, Hillsborough County Fire Rescue says you should make a plan for your car during a hurricane. That includes getting it to higher ground because the lithium batteries inside can cause problems when they're flooded. Here's fire investigator David Tucker.
The very large contained power cells and EVs present a very significant fire load, potential of the confined battery overpressurizing and causing small explosions.
If you have a boat, first of all, I'm jealous, but second of all, you should do the same thing. Captain Jeff Hartzner says to take last year as an example.
A lot of these boats got lifted off their boat lifts, and then they're just drifting around Tampa Bay, the canals.
Better to plan this out now than when everyone's already scrambling. Congress wants to make cuts to its Healthy Homes Lead Reduction program that helps decrease lead in older homes. Avery Sliker leads St. Petersburg's Housing and Community Development Department.
The removal doesn't only jeopardize the health of our residents, but it weakens our resiliency and our economic stability.
Sliker says their program relies on federal money, and without it, they'll have to turn to private money or stop the program altogether. St. Pete is the latest to be audited by DOGE. It's asking for the city's work on DEI, environmental sustainability, utilities, and money management. DOGE will be on site next week. Mayor Ken Welch said in a statement the city will work with the state. The principal of Lato High School in Tampa just caught a DUI charge on Sunday. Scott Hazlitt failed a field sobriety test, and police say they found coke in his car. We're not talking about the soda. He had just become principal last month. He's now on administrative leave. Oof. The Sarasota Art Museum has a really cool exhibit going on right now that you can check out. Part of it is about quilts, originally made by slaves in rural Alabama. They literally had to make them at the time just to keep warm, but that tradition has passed down generations, and now it's considered its own unique American art form. WUSF's Kathy Carter talked to a fifth-generation quilt maker whose quilts are showcased at the museum. Kathy, what makes this such a cool and important exhibit that people should see?
Yeah, I think in the age of AI and fast fashion, it's pretty special to be reminded of the irreplaceable human hand in creating something. This is a tradition that goes back to the 1800s. These women have been making quilts for generations, starting in the days when they were enslaved people on a cotton plantation. I spoke with one of the artists, Loretta Petway Bennett, and she said for her grandmothers and great-grandmothers, it all started because essentially they didn't have electricity, so they needed to keep warm.
Women didn't have time to think about, making art. It was a necessity that they had some coverings because the housing wasn't insulated. They were just making something to keep warm, and they were just using what they had.
So, Kathy, how were these quilts made?
So the first generation of quilts were made literally from whatever they had at hand. So worn-out work clothes, overalls, aprons, even things like flour and sugar sacks, so a real tangible record of their lives. By 1972, they had formed the Freedom Quilting Bee, and they secured a contract with what was then Sears and Roebuck, so their items were sold in a catalog. And then getting more noticed and more noticed throughout the years. And in 2002, they had their very first museum exhibit. It was at the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. Loretta Petway Bennett was just a teenager when she saw her mom and her auntie's work displayed on the walls.
To see the reaction of the people that came to see it, people was crying, and they were just so touched by the quilts. And I couldn't, at the time, understand what they were seeing.
It's crazy how powerful it was for so many people, and she just saw it as a quilt.
Yeah, she actually said she remembers laying on one of the quilts that were on the wall in her home. So, yeah, it was a really big deal, and it inspired her to keep up her own quilt making, and now she works with the younger generation. She has these workshops in Gee's Bend where people from all over the world actually come and learn that tradition of hand sewing quilts. And now they even make prints of the quilts. So you can see all of this at the Sarasota Art Museum.
Till August 10th, right?
That's it.
Thank you so much for the time, Kathy. I really appreciate it. This is a really cool story, and you could see it right now at WUSF.org.
Thanks for having me.
Kids are heading back to school this month. If you're a parent, you're giddy. Kids, not so much. Either way, Fit to Run and the Runners Superstore is celebrating with a 5K fun run along the Tampa Riverwalk tomorrow evening. It starts at Armature Works and it's free. They're encouraging folks to make a donation to the Big Bill Foundation that supports students battling cancer. And let's keep it active. Blur Nightclub in Dunedin offers Glow Yoga Thursday evening. For around $20, you can be a part of what they're calling a beginner-friendly yoga sesh with some really cool lighting. If you get there early, they'll even paint a little body art on you for an extra $5. And of course, it's a nightclub, so there's cocktails. That'll keep you hydrated, right? Also Thursday, Crooked Thumb Brewery in Safety Harbor has swap night. You could drop off up to 3 used books or puzzles, and for each item you get a ticket where you could take someone else's stuff. It constantly rotates, so if you don't snag something right away, buy a beer, relax, see what pops up. By the way, bring only gently used items, not your crusty copy of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri looking like he just got jumped on the cover. That's today's Bay Blend. See, it's starting to roll off the tongue a little bit more. Bay Blend. Be honest, you're starting to like it. Anyways, back tomorrow morning at 7 with another episode. In the meantime, have an awesome Tuesday. Can't wait to see you back here.